Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to have you here today to our latest webinar, which is about making trust visible and how to certify BI content with confidence. I'm Patrick Perrier. I'm the head of product management here at Wiiisdom. I've been in the analytics industry for about 25 years. And more recently, since I've joined Wiiisdom, it's all about analytics governance. We have a great set of solutions. We have great pillars to present, and I can't wait to show you what we do. So the agenda for today, well, first, I always like to start with a problem, and the problem we want to talk about is the trust gap in BI. Now, of course, if there's a problem, we have a solution, and the solution is dynamic and continuous certification. We'll talk about what it is, what is so important, and I will follow with two live demos of how we do this for Tableau and for Power BI, and a quick sum up slide about key takeaways. Now, I have this stat for you here, 25%. Now, 25% is, according to BARC surveys, the adoption of BI in enterprises, in companies. Now, they say that they have been tracking this metric for the last 7 years now, and having said that, the adoption of tools stays very low and is not really increasing. So there's certainly things that almost always kill the BI and analytics adoption, and they call that the adoption killer, and I quite like that term here. And the first one is users say that data that they need is not available or accessible, and I'm sure you heard that one before. Then it creates shadow IT, or they will just continue to use Excel or feel frustrated about not making the decisions that they really want to. Now, the second thing, even more important, that the data isn't trustworthy. They know the data should be different. They know the data is not exactly what it is. I have a few scenarios that I will introduce in a second, but when you don't trust the data, obviously you're not going to use your BI solutions. Now, modern tools are great, but still tools aren't always flexible or easy to use. Less is more sometimes. So I see this a lot on LinkedIn about people saying, oh, we're going to leave this tool to go to these other tools. They're just tools. What you want to do at the end of the day is make decisions with data, and it should be simple to use. Now, lack of performance or user experience is really important for adoption, so massive killer here. And well, if there's enough people to support or to coach the business users, things are not going to go really far. So to have an internal community is really critical to grow the BI adoption within your organization. Now, we talked about the 5 killers. I'll show you 4 quick stories. Again, they will resonate with those killers and things I'm sure you've seen before. Sales executives saying, I know my data. I know I have revenue every day of the week. So there should be no way that I have twice the same data 2 days in a row. Or I know my margin is 8%. If I see 2% or 15%, again, there's something wrong. So again, some issues there. Or you have 3 reports that, are showing sales information, for instance. Which one do you use? It should be clear for the users which report to use, which ones have the latest and the accurate data for the case that they need. We talked about the user experience earlier. We are so used now with the latest technology and websites to have things super quick. If the performance are not good, again, people would simply not use it, even if it's accurate. Now, finally, I talked about Tableau and Power BI because these are the 2 modern technologies that we support here. We have Copilot, we have Tableau Pulse, we have agents in Tableau. At the end of the day, trusting what AI returns is really important. And these BI or analytics AI tools, they're all talking to the semantic layer, the semantic model or the Tableau data sources. So if these are incorrect, AI will for sure be incorrect. So we're talking about low adoptions, adoption killers, issues with BI. Well, all of these things will lead to the loss of trust in your data. And if you don't trust the data, if you make wrong decisions, even worse, this can significantly affect or increase risk for your organization for a number of different things here. So again, it's important for the data to be accurate, for people to trust it. It will drive out adoption. Now, one thing that we hear a lot when we go to events, Tableau, Salesforce, Microsoft events, is people saying, well, we do some sort of governance. We have data ops. We do a lot of validation in the backend databases and ETL and data quality, and we have cataloging. We have all of these things. Why wouldn't my reports and dashboards be accurate? Well, that's because we what we call it the last mile or the last kilometer, right? I'm in Europe right now, and if you overlook the analytics layer, the layer where people take action and get value from the data, well, you get some of Wild West, and you see a number of reasons why reports might be incorrect despite the data in the back end being correct. Change types and joins and formulas and not refreshed and duplicated content because of different reasons. So for the BI developers here on the webinar today, you will recognize that as part of the design of the semantic model in the analytics solution, and after that the report, there's so much development and customization that you need to validate all the way to the end. So this is what we've been doing for nearly 20 years here at Wiiisdom, and it's analytics governance. So we started first with SAP Business Objects, which we still do today, but the pillar I'll talk about today would be focused on Tableau and Power BI. So we have three pillars. The first one is continuous certification, the one I will talk about today. But have a look at our older webinars on our website. We do lifecycle management. There is a webinar coming up in March about all this, about how you deploy content between environments. Ensuring that when you deploy content in production, that there's been a number of design checks to make sure everything has been designed according to good policies and practices. So making sure you send only good stuff into production. And there is also a webinar that took place in late December about predictive monitoring and how you keep an eye on your production environment. So a lot of interesting topics around those pillars. But today, let's talk about the continuous certification. Now, to give you a good analogy, we like to say at Wiiisdom that we want to give a better consumption experience of your data and your analytics. So if I take the example of booking a restaurant or watching a movie or buying something on Amazon, right? The first thing we always do is we look at reviews and we say, okay, well, the restaurant I'm going to go to or the whatever thing I'm going to buy on Amazon, what have other people who bought it in the past said? Now, if you have 20 people who bought it in the last month and they're very happy, you're likely going to trust that score, that review, and then decide to probably go to that restaurant or buy this thing. But if the reviews are only they're only good but a year ago, and there's no recent good reviews, well, then you are not going to really get on board with all that. And this is the point we want to do with analytics here. You should let the end user know wherever they consume their reports and their dashboards that it is certified. It's been verified, it's been validated, and it's been done so recently. So not when it was put in production 6 months ago, not when the semantic model was last refreshed, nobody knows when, but recently in the last few hours. So again, this webinar today will be about talking about dynamically and automatically certifying or recertifying content, and once again, wherever the users consume that report and dashboard. And this is something that Gartner has been saying for a little while now, that you need to implement a certification or watermarking process to indicate the integrity for the self-service content. So the end user, he is not technical, that person just wants to know, can I consume this thing and make decisions I can trust? And one way to do this is through certification. And at Wiiisdom, we are quite pioneer in doing that, and we are patent pending on this technology. So how to move from being reactive, users raising a support ticket when things are slow or the data is incorrect or they have a problem, to being proactive. So you automatically and dynamically, not manually, certify, recertify content. If you detect a problem, you inform the end user straight away, thanks to decertifying that content. You inform the data leaders that something needs to be fixed. And then it's great because for the auditors and the exec and the platform teams, at least it's great for them because there is a automated process which is fully audited and detailed, traceable with audit logs that they can always have a look at in the future if there's any reason to do so. So like I said, I'll do 2 demos today. The first one is how we do just that, automatic and dynamic certification of Power BI reports and semantic models. And I'll do a second demo, which will be quite similar, but this time for Tableau, and that will be for workbooks and data sources. All right, so let me jump here to my browser, and here we go. So let's pretend I'm in Power BI. Well, I said I would do Power BI first. So let's do Power BI. I have this mortgage dashboard here, which is important to me. So I'm going to open it. Now, I said let the end user know where they consume the report. So this is an example here. This can be customized, obviously, in many ways. But imagine I'm an end user, and I need to have a look at this mortgage report. And I'm seeing here that this thing has been certified, and it's been certified on the 16th of December. Now, if we are only a few hours later, well, this is something that I can trust. I say, hey, a few hours later, I can use this report and I'm happy. But if we are a month later, and this thing has not been certified for the last month, and we know this thing gets certified every day, well, as an end user, I would question if I can use this. Now, if it was red because it's decertified, well, it's even worse. I know I am not going to consume that report, and then I can get in touch with the relevant team if necessary. Now, I said wherever you consume the report. I'm here in Power BI, but let's imagine you are in your own portal. So I have here a sample of a retail company financial portal. I'm logged on as a CFO. I know that my data is changing every day. I know the type of business I'm doing, right? It's my business. I need to make some decision. If I see that these numbers here have been the same for the last couple of days, or these numbers are higher or lower than I'm expecting because I know that what my margin is, like I said before, well, I don't want to take the wrong decision. Now, what better way to tell, once again, your end user that your content has been certified? It's been certified recently, when the next certification is. So again, I'm in here, embedded analytics in my own portal. Again, Wiiisdom can feed you the information. We can send it to your Microsoft Teams. If there's a problem, we can raise a ticket in ServiceNow automatically again for the platform owners and the data team. So this is what the idea is here, to inform the user. Now, how do we do this? Well, we do this by going to our window in our Wiiisdom portal, and we call that doing validation pipelines. So I'll show you how that looks like, and then I'll show you the end reports. So effectively, you have a number of validation steps here. And for each of your governed Power BI reports or semantic model, there is a number of rules, of policies that you can choose to enforce. So what I've done here, I created one. It took me, I don't know, maybe 3-4 minutes to create this one here. I created a pipeline that validates if my mortgage report should be used or not. And if it's not, I should decertify it. Well, the first thing that is quite important, maybe I want to make sure that my semantic model has been refreshed in the last day, because I know my data is refreshed every 24 hours based on my data warehouse. So it hasn't been refreshed. And then I want to do some validation stuff like, okay, I want to make sure that I don't have any empty tables. And by the way, you can see, I mean, although there's a full API behind this, so you can automate as much as you want with coding, that's great. This can be created by a complete non-technical person. Wiiisdom will automatically propose all the different data sets, semantic model, tables, so you can just click around. So again, to create all this just with clicking and not a single line of code, only a very few minutes, but you could automate all that with scripting if you wanted to. Now, Power BI, DAX is very important. I know that this mortgage report should only show me 4 different mortgage products. So there you go. I will execute the DAX and dynamically will make sure that the DAX always return 4. My mortgages shouldn't be for anything less than a million, let's call it euros. In this case, I shouldn't have any duplicated rows. Like I said earlier, the CFO knows that the data changes every day because there's new operations done every day. So I can even say that I expect the data to change every time I run this pipeline here, and I run it once a day. The data changes once a day. The data should be different. So it's great here because despite the semantic model being refreshed, well, it's not because it's been refreshed that the data loaded completely. Hence, the good, the added value of checking if tables are full or not, if you have the right product, and if the data change the way you expected or not. Now, we talked about user experience. If you have great data, but your report takes more than X seconds to open, that's a problem. So I said here that I don't want my Power BI reports and pages to take more than 5 seconds. And again, we see I selected my report here. And finally, I want to validate a bit about the user experience. I have a slicer, and the slicer is on the different years, and I want to make sure that when I change different years, I want to make sure the performance is great. So again, you build your pipeline, you take a few minutes, either manually, either via scripting and an API, and then you decide what you want this pipeline to do. At the end, you want to inform the relevant people. Well, if everything is successful, I want to go ahead and recertify my Power BI report. So this will have an updated date and time. I may decide to send me an email, but only when it's on failure. Perhaps it's something like this. I definitely want to send things in Microsoft Teams. So the data leaders and the platform owners, we have a shared Microsoft Teams together. So if there's a problem, I want them to know through Teams. And I want the end users to know through certification, right? So the number of things I said, and web request, that's the example of ServiceNow or a Jira ticket, for instance. So number of things you can do. So you created your pipeline. The pipeline has all the different steps you want. You can run it manually right now, of course, but usually you would want to say, well, I want to run every day, for instance, as an example. And in the end, you'll get a complete detailed report of everything we tested with complete logs. Like for instance, well, my semantic model has not been refreshed in the last day, so that's not a good start. We can see that my tables, for instance, none of them are empty. Excellent. We even see what their current values are, so that's great. I ran my DAX query. My DAX query, it's perfect. After running that DAX, I know there's only 4 products, so I'm very happy. And then there's other rules like this. The user experience, I said that every page should open in less than 5 seconds. So we have here the evidence that the 4 pages of this report all take less than 5 seconds. And using the slicers was very quick too. So there you go. In this demo, I've showed you how to create a Wiiisdom pipeline to validate some rules on semantic models, other on reports, and thanks to post processes, certify or decertify automatically, dynamically the report, but also update to Microsoft Teams, and if I wanted to, push the information using API and other things to third-party systems like the embedded analytics. Let me show you the same thing here with Tableau. Now, Tableau works slightly differently, so we have access to different features. So we have here, once again, a pipeline with different set of rules. I'm not going through all this again. The same thing, row count and updated and refreshed and user experience. I can do exactly that, and I can do other post processes. I can go to Slack, obviously, if you're a full Salesforce customer. Now, in Tableau, because of the different APIs and what we have access to, well, one thing we can do is we can natively, just like in Power BI, it's a custom visuals. Here it's a Tableau extension, but we see here that I have a Tableau extension, and it's telling me that this thing is not certified. So do not use it. And we can see messages as to why it's not been certified and that sort of things. Also, with Power BI, with Tableau, what we can also do is we can interact with the badge here about something being certified or not. And you can see that's been certified by Wiiisdom, some comments when it was done. So again, if allowed, not always where the users end up using that content. So if I'm a Tableau designer, well, I know that my data source is certified. I can, before I build a report or a workbook on top of it, I can put it in the report like I've just shown you as well. And with Wiiisdom, we provide a way to access all of that data. So if you wanted to do further analysis on all the kind of tests that you do and everything that gets certified or decertified, you can build some analytics as well around all that. So talk about, again, similar with Tableau, pipeline, validation steps, and we can just send the information to any places to let people who consume that content, either as a consumer, but also based on maybe to Calibra cataloging, for instance, and other things like that. All right, so yes, so for Tableau, I've shown you data source validation, workbook validation and simulation, and the dynamic certification. Okay, quick takeaways before we complete. Well, Certify analytics is important for different kind of personas. Obviously, the data consumer, they'll take better decisions knowing that they can trust it and that they have confidence. They'll feel there is less risk, and this will just at the end of the day increase adoption, right? The other thing is the BI analytics teams or the platform teams as well. At the moment, if they wanted to certify, they would have to manually do tests regularly. They would have to manually certify or decertify when there's a problem. At scale, it's obviously impossible. And if the data consumers have less problem, it leads to fewer support tickets and dealing with that sort of things, which is really time consuming when you do it as a reactive way as opposed to proactive. And finally, the compliance and the audit teams, well, they have full evidence. You've seen the reports, complete logs, complete details at any given point in time, what was tested, what was the result of that test, with full traceability. So you can enforce these policies. And for a lot of regulated companies, this is something that is not even optional. It's mandatory on governed content. So again, a lot of different personas which are positively affected by doing this automated certification. Well, I hope it was useful. The next webinar that we'll host on the 10th of March will be specifically for Tableau in this case. And with Wiiisdom, we have version control capabilities, but we will show you how we can link that with Git integration. So we call that enterprise deployment and versioning for Tableau. So come and join us on the 10th of March. We'll be happy to tell you more about it and do a real life demo of starting with Tableau desktop with Git integration, fully automated to go all the way to Tableau, and lots of different validation and lifecycle management and version control. So again, a lot of good good things to show you in March. So on that, thanks again for joining, and see you next time.